Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. What an interesting story behind this one. When this initial image for the game was released, I, along with many others in the gaming community, let out a collective groan. This screamed cheap cash-in, probably some party game that some side team developed in a week or something like that, but man, they sure went out of their way to promote this thing when it was officially announced at E3. Kicking off the Ubisoft presentation, they even brought out Miyamoto to give the game some validity as a major title, and who would have guessed the Mario Rabbids team-up was going to be a tactics game? The only thing more surprising than this is that it's actually pretty good. If you've played games like Fire Emblem or certainly XCOM, you know what these games are all about. If not, it's a turn-based tactical RPG. You move units around a battlefield trying to get superior positioning to attack your enemies, and then pass the turn to your opposition. But here's the thing. These games are notorious for their difficulty, their complexity. I want to refrain from using that DS term, but you know the deal. Often part of the selling point for these titles is how tough they are to beat. And that's why I feel like Mario plus Rabbids fills a bit of a void in this genre. It's more inviting. Now, more often than not, there are adjustments that can be made in these games. Those of us who actually play them know things can be very intimidating to newcomers, like the common theme of permadeath in a lot of these titles. The standard play typically involves characters who fall on the battlefield being dead forever, which can be a bit of a stressful concept for some people, putting all this time and effort into a character only to have them killed off for good. But these things can usually be adjusted, especially in the newer games, difficulty lowered, permadeath turned off. I know that, but that doesn't change the fact that these concepts are what these games are sold on, how they're often discussed. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've tried to sell someone on Fire Emblem, especially like when Awakening came out. I was like, oh my god, guys, Fire Emblem Awakening is so good, you gotta play it. And then there are people who are like, yeah, sounds cool, but permadeath stuff is too much for me. And I'm like, well, you can just turn it off. And they had no clue that was a thing. And that's why I use specifically the term inviting to describe Mario plus Rabbids' place in this genre. These long-standing franchises in the tactics genre come with these intimidating legacies that can turn off newcomers, even if you can do things to make them easier. And let's be real, can you get less intimidating than Mario and these goofy Rabbids? But that's not to say this game is devoid of any challenge. You'll have to make some key decisions on the battlefield, learn how to combat the different types of enemies, and think on your feet in the boss battles, which I really enjoyed. I think they did a lot of clever stuff with the way boss battles worked, and I was like stressing out sometimes, even myself, who plays a lot of these games. And there are things like these ratings you get after battles where the game scores you on how many turns you took, if any of your characters got incapacitated. So for people who are a bit more skilled at these games, you have that as a sort of greater challenge incentive, as the better your score, the more coins you get, which allows you to purchase gear and upgrades. And it's got all the stuff you'd expect from this type of game, leveling up, skill progression, gearing, etc. But it does a good job, again, for newcomers at walking you through all the different mechanics as you make your way through it. The hand-holding, in my opinion, doesn't get overbearing. Well, it might feel that way for veterans of the genre, but it's good that it doesn't just drop you into things either, as again, we're likely going to see a lot of people coming into this with no tactics experience. And at the end of the day, I'm hoping this is the result we get from this. We've got gaming's most recognizable character, Mario, in a tactics game. People who don't play these types of games are bound to come across it, and perhaps this can be a gateway into the genre. I mean, come on, I need more people to talk about Fire Emblem with. But yeah, even though over the past few years this genre has grown in popularity a lot, it's still incredibly niche when you compare it to, things like shooters, platformers, and all that stuff. So, in my opinion, anything that can be done to, expose more people to it, who, especially those who may not have experienced it otherwise, I think that's a great thing. And with most titles in this genre, again, being sold as these high difficulty experiences, we needed something to bring more people in that are just more on the casual gamer level, or again, more so just not familiar with this type of play. And the best part is, this game is awesome on its own. Whether you're a newcomer or a veteran of the genre, I think you'll find it enjoyable. Even the humor, which I feel like is a bit of a stretch in games these days, I enjoyed. Personally, I always kind of like the wacky physical comedy of the Rabbids. I know it's not everybody's thing, but it gives me a chuckle. And watching the Nintendo characters react to their nonsense is gold, in my opinion. But yeah, with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle in the comments. Specifically, if you're a tactics veteran, what do you think of the game? And of course, if you're a newcomer, could this title bridge the gap for you to experience more of the genre? As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.